Hey everyone, Kat Minks here, publisher and editor-in-chief of Adore Magazine. Wanted to come on here and just give you a few inside tricks about what's going on in the most recent issue of Adore Magazine. I had the esteemed pleasure to interview Hollywood screenwriter Camille Tucker. She also teaches at Biola University and travels the country, not just teaching filmmaking, but using her blessings and gifts to talk about living a blessed life to women. So absolutely check out these clips from the interview, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the most recent issue of Adore Magazine. Go ahead and check it out. Well, and that's a great lead into my first question, too. It's so funny that you talk about how hard this has been. I think for no matter who you talk to right now, everyone is feeling so emotional and affected. And so we all know, as a Christ follower myself, we all know that the biggest wounds, when the biggest wounds are opened up in our lives, that we get the biggest rewards. Is kind of what the Bible and what God's teachings tell us most often, is that you don't get reward unless there's a little bit of pain involved, or hardship, or struggle, or working hard. So with so much happening for you right now, and with the release of your critically acclaimed Lifetime movie, The Clark Sisters, the First Ladies of Gospel, in terms of your career, what do you believe was the biggest struggle and hardship that contributed to you getting to this moment in your career?
The biggest struggle. Yeah, first of all, thank you for mentioning the Clark sisters. I feel very fortunate to be the co-writer of that project. And one thing that's really beautiful when I think about that project is that there were a number of African American women who were involved in shaping the authenticity and beauty of the project, including myself as the co-writer, the other co-writer, Sylvia L. Jones, the director, Christine Swanson, and the amazing actresses and producers. So it is a very special project to have all of these Black women at the helm. It's a rarity that we see in the industry, and I just feel really blessed to be a part of the project. But the biggest struggle that I've had, you know, I believe I sold my first script in my 20s, and I was an assistant at Walt Disney Studios, and I sold several scripts in a row with my former writing partner. I think it might have been about 6 or 7 scripts, and none of them got made. And I went through a spiritual crisis at that point in my life, thinking that I was not talented, that I was not good enough, that I had not been called to be a writer. And I completely got out of the industry. I, during that time, was filled with self-doubt. And my spiritual mentors, my brother, who's my pastor, Walter Tucker III, my other brother, Kenneth Tucker, my mother, Martha Tucker, who is the matriarch of our family and a very grounded woman in her faith, God, were my sister, Keita. gotta touch everybody. But really, my family are my pillars of strength. And I had deep conversations with them. And I came to the conclusion, including some other spiritual mentors, that I was in a sort of a Moses backside of the desert period, where I think sometimes God extracts you, or maybe sits you down from something that you thought you wanted or thought was yours. And it was a very soul-searching period. And I came back to the conclusion that, no, I do love writing. I believe I am supposed to be here. I went back and got my master's in theology from Fuller Seminary, and was very grateful to add that experience and everything that I learned into my repertoire as a writer and as a filmmaker. And I became a professor at Biola University during that time. What a lot of people don't know is I worked in Hispanic TV as a copywriter, and also worked as the marketing and communications manager. So what is all of that saying? It was a time of change and possibly even giving up on something that I really loved and thought I was called to do, but it came full circle. So, but at the beginning of it, when I first got out of the entertainment industry, I went through a lot of sadness, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of doubting my worth. And it took God and my loved ones, my community, and also my desire to walk in purpose to kind of bring me back full circle to doing what I truly loved. So I hope that that
That makes
gives
so
a
much
picture.
sense. I feel you. I have gone through some of that myself in my own career, so I can so relate. Yes, and I think a lot of women can. Um,
Yeah, there were days I didn't want to get out of bed. Like I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm called to do. I'm not good enough. There was just days I was just, it was like depression, serious depression. And unfortunately, and I look back, I'm like, why didn't I go to counseling or to see a therapist? I had a lot of spiritual mentors around me and I was in discipleship groups, but yeah, like you said, I'm sure you can relate to it as well. Yeah. But
yeah.
you come through your period too,
Oh,
right?
girl. Oh my gosh. I've had some periods.
You're
But it's just
good.
like,
Yeah.
I,
There's always more than one.
yeah, life is just so up and down through it. You have no idea when you're in your 20s what is ahead of you. And you just think of every struggle as it comes at you as, oh, this is the end of my life, or it's hard to see the other side of the mountain. But I think as you get older, you start to realize, oh, this is opening up a new door for me.
Yeah.
So
As we mature and as I matured, I realized that um, every stumbling, every little fall was like God preparing me for something else.
mhm.
Every misstep was part of God's ultimate plan for my life. And clarity, learning, humility, wisdom, those would always come out of those, what we sometimes see as failures. Um, I have learned, don't be afraid to fail. You're going to always learn something when you fall.
That is so true. So, so true. So then for women that want to have it all, or like have this idea of um, have this picture in their head about what their life is going to be like, and I want to have this career and this family by this time and this love and this kind of um, self fulfillment. Do you feel like that's truly attainable, or that can happen? And how do you find that for yourself, being how busy you are? I mean, you do everything. You teach, you speak, you write. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know what? One thing I would do is just back up a little bit and reframe it to, I think women want to have it all, but I don't know, for me, or at least the conclusion I've come to is maybe it's not really a matter of having it all. As you know, I'm single, I'm not married, I don't have children. So I think there's a sacrifice in that area of my life. It's not that I don't want to be married, or, when I encounter or meet the right person, perhaps at earlier points in my life, I put a lot into my career, and maybe there were some blind spots there. Maybe I missed out, and maybe I wasn't quite attuned to, some guys that were interested in me, or some relationships that could have been. I try not to look back at regret, but I feel like there's always going to be, you are not going to be the master of everything.